This is the Hollywood Outsider. My name is Aaron Peterson. I am your host, and with me this week are my co-hosts, Justin McCumber, who made that funny noise.
How are you?
I'm not happy about that. And Brian Williams.
Hey, I don't have any funny noises.
You have plenty. You just don't want to make them yet. We are a movie or a TV podcast. We are basically going to talk about film news, trailers that have come out, some other things that have come up, do a little trivia down the road, and then we do have a specific topic that we like to talk about every week. It's called From the Outside In, and this week we are going to talk about Halloween. Some people think it's a little too early, but I don't know when you're going to listen to this shit. So as far as I'm concerned, early might be on October 30th. We're going to talk about some horror movies. We're kind of breaking this up. So when we get there this week, it's going to be supernatural horror movies, and then we'll move on from there next week. So without further ado, you guys are doing pretty well? Everybody's good? Everybody's happy?
Yeah, did you watch Terra Nova?
I have not seen it yet. I have not seen
not
Terra
bad.
Nova.
Yeah, I've got it recorded. I'm waiting on the wife to have a day off so we can watch it. So
Everybody was shitting on the CGI, but I don't get it. I thought it certainly looked no worse than your average sci-fi movie, and I think in a lot of cases it looked better. It's a TV show. It's got TV show's budget, but I enjoyed it.
Does it look like it's going to be able to sustain those kind of special effects on a weekly basis?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because they're not. I mean, most of what you're seeing is just jungle and the environment they're in. There isn't a lot of CG work until the dinosaurs show up, and they're not. It's not like they're constantly on the screen. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. What I did like though is that they're introducing little mystery elements, because I kind of thought, all right, this is going to be a show. They go back in time, and then it's, survive the dinosaur of the week kind of a show, but it's not. There's definitely a kind of a mystery that's developing from the characters and the environment, and I'm curious to see where they take it. I enjoyed it.
So the dinosaurs are more kind of a subplot type of thing?
They're there for the scares. They're there as a threat, but they aren't, I think, what the characters are really going to be struggling against. And it's not, I won't go on too long about it, just real quick, but it brings up the premise that in this future world, we have ruined it. And so in order to save humanity, we have to go back in time and this is not back in our time. They say within the early part of the show that this takes place in an alternate universe. So, you're not going to step on a butterfly and fuck up the rest of human existence.
Oh, okay.
This is detached from that.
Yeah, because I was going to say that's really smart to go back in time so you can screw it up a lot sooner than we did the first time around.
Yeah, and Marty McFly's kind of vanishing before your eyes.
He's still there. Fuck! I've been trying to get 88 miles an hour forever.
But it introduces that element, and it says that now that we're back in time, our duty is to be better than what we were, to build a society that's not based on greed and massive consumption and all these things, but to build a society that can be sustainable, that's smart about what it does, and creates a better humanity. And within the pilot, it's a two-parter pilot episode, you immediately figure out now just because you've taken humanity out of its normal element, humans are still humans, and there's still going to be segments that don't want to do what the man wants them to do. There's all sorts of things rolled into it, and I'm really curious to see where they're going to take it.
Yeah, because how many times have we said, I'm never going to do that again?
And we
do it again.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I really want to watch that. I can't wait to see that. That and the Sons of Anarchy, I missed that one too. I know.
It is.
It sucks.
I'm falling behind on Breaking Bad, though.
Oh my God! These last probably 2 or 3 episodes are phenomenal.
So people say
it is so. It's probably the most intense it's been since the first season.
I've got them queued. I just have to find time to get them in with my wife, because that's a show we watch together.
Oh, it just came on Netflix. It's queued up. I'm gonna start it so I can actually catch up and see what all the hype's about.
Kind of like I told you the other night, it is the greatest opening scene of a pilot show ever. That opening scene of the first episode in that first season is phenomenal.
Is it one that gets you hooked and you just have to barrel through?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's good, because I can watch a show if I can barrel through it. It's waiting week to week and 2 years in between and whatnot. Well, let's get on. That's enough TV news. We got that covered.
Yep.
And also, Charlie Sheen settled his lawsuit. So everybody that was all worried about him, he got paid. He's okay. He's going to make it.
I could sleep now.
I know. Thank God.
I was so worried about that boy.
I just hope he doesn't get his kids back. The new trailers that have come out, we generally talk about these every week just to give people an idea of the movies that are coming out and kind of what we think of what we saw. My personal favorite of the ones I saw was the Muppets. I don't care how 12 that makes me sound. I think it looks fantastic.
Now, are we talking about the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo style trailer?
That one
Trailer too.
That one I think is just funny. The actual main trailer.
Okay.
I think it looks like they're trying to bring the Muppets back. It looks like, from what I understand, the story is about with the helps of their fans and tons of celebrities. They're trying to reunite and save their old theater from being taken over. And Jason Segel's in it, and I think he wrote it, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And Amy Adams, who I love, she's in it. It just looks like it's old Muppets. It looks fun, cute, nice little family flick.
Yeah, if it's made like those first couple of Muppet movies, then I'm definitely all in on this because I love the Muppets. Who doesn't at least our age range anyway? Who doesn't still love the Muppets? If you don't, you're a communist.
I knew you were going to say communist. With Brian, it's always a communist.
I've never actually watched them much. I don't know if what was going on in my life when the Muppets were on the air, but I never really watched them that much. I don't have anything against them, and I'm
was
looking
that time
forward
that
to this
they
movie.
kept you chained in the basement?
Might have been, or
those weren't
Harry
Muppets.
Potter like under the stairs.
Those weren't
Right.
Muppets. Those were small people.
But if you remember, Jason Segel had a puppet in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
He did.
I remember when he did that, he's in his press interviews kept talking about he did it because he loved the Muppets, loved them, and started talking about wanting to do a movie for the Muppets at that time. And I guess Jim Henson's company or whatever said, sure, why not? And here we go.
Funny short story. I actually met Jason Segel once for I Love You, Man.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the premiere, and he and Paul Rudd were both there in Chicago, and he was talking about that, and that was his dream project, that he make a Muppet movie. And he actually sang the Dracula song, which was actually pretty cool, right after the movie was over. But it sounds like, his heart was in it from what he was talking about. To hear an actor that was finally up and coming and hear their dream project was going to be a Muppet movie, how often do you hear that?
That's cool.
So I hope the hype and what I saw lives up to the potential. Another movie that's coming out, and this is kind of just in time for Halloween, is The Awakening, which is from the trailer. It looks like a lady is basically hired to bust hoaxes, is what it looks like, and she doesn't believe in ghosts and whatnot. And she's sent to a boarding school to kind of explain the sightings of a child ghost, and then of course, is there a ghost? Isn't there a ghost? Kind of looks like there's a ghost. I don't know.
It looks very BBC.
Yes, it looks very British.
Well, yeah, it is. It's BBC basically helped produce the movie. So, but it follows two different stories, and I'm not sure how they're going to do it, which this kind of helps me kind of draw me in a little bit because it's actually following two separate families, one in Spain and one in Britain. They're ghosts or non-ghosts, whatever it is. So,
I think you're thinking of Intruders.
Is that what?
Yep.
Is that the one?
That's a different one.
My bad.
So Brian's actually talking about the wrong movie.
Way to prep, Brian.
He said, way to prep. Hello. That's what busted feels like.
Yep.
That's okay.
It looks okay. The Awakening looks good. It looks kind of boring, though. It looks a little slow, and I hate to say that because then it makes me sound like one of those ADD Americans who needs everything fast cut and quick shots, and I'm not that type of person, but the general vibe from this movie seemed just especially slow. And for some horror movies, that works. Sometimes it doesn't because then you get all build up and not enough delivery to pay it off. We'll see. I'm interested, but it'll probably be one that, unless it gets a lot of real big reviews, I'll probably be waiting until video.
Fair enough.
Yeah, this was because this is the one where the ladies, and it's bad that this is what I thought of when I saw this preview. But the lady is in the shower and she's looking at a hole in the shower. Okay, there's never a good thing that's going to happen when there's a hole in the shower and you're looking in that hole. So
I've got 3 restraining orders because of it.
Exactly.
So, one that's coming out that I'm not quite sure how I feel about it is the The new Katherine Heigl movie. Who I love Katherine Heigl. Love her. I think she's wow. But it's like she's just taking her career and bouncing it downstairs. You know what I mean? She gets a job as a bounty hunter, and it's her first job. And of course, she's hunting down her ex-boyfriend, who's a local cop, and he's wanted, and everybody else is after him, and hijinks ensue. And I don't know. What did you guys think of this? She's got dark hair. That's cool.
I think
Which is kind of hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think her Jersey accent came and went just in the preview, so it's got to be absolutely horrible in the movie.
Kevin Costner-esque.
There was a couple of parts that was funny. I mean, the old guy, the naked old man in the truck was hilarious.
Yeah, that part was funny. I mean, there's some funny parts in the movie. I'm wondering how it comes together, because I feel like I just saw this movie with Mr. Butler and Jennifer Aniston.
Yep.
I'm just going to call him Mr. Butler, because every time I say his name, I say Gerald. So,
which is wrong.
Yeah, it's wrong. So I just say Mr. Butler.
I think it looks funny. I mean, I want to like Katherine Heigl, and so far I've seen one film that I've actually liked her, and that was Knocked Up.
Yeah.
You know, I thought she was fantastic in it, but I've never watched an episode of ER, so I have no idea how she is in that show.
She's not in that show, so she's horrible in it. She's in Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, is it Grey's? Oh, yeah. Fuck. Not ER. Grey's. Whatever. It's a medical.
None of us should be on a movie podcast this week. That's what I'm thinking.
She's on House, and I didn't care for it. But I like her. I think she's incredibly attractive. I think she can be funny. So I'm curious to see this one. It looks good. It's a comedy, and I'll probably wait for video on this one too. But my hopes are high. I'm hoping that she's funny and very cute. And if she succeeds in both of those, I'm good.
I'll go see it because the wife wants to go see it.
So. Yeah, that sounds like
I wish my wife liked these sorts of movies or chick flicks. My wife does not.
Why don't you take my wife?
If I lived closer, maybe I would. Yeah, my wife, I can't be too bad because she loves going to see Fast Five, Riddick movies. If it's action and a lot of guns and explosions and hot guys with their shirts getting blown off, she's all over it. So I can't complain too much.
Yeah, that's fair enough. The next one, the last one, is The Gray. That's Liam Neeson's new movie, where he's a part of an Alaskan oil team that the plane crashes, they get stranded, and apparently gets hunted by a pack of wolves. I actually think it looks kind of cool, and it's directed by Joe Carnahan, who did The A-Team, which that's a good sign, because I was a big fan of that one.
And Smoking Aces.
And Smoking Aces and Narc. So
yes,
he's as far as I'm concerned, he has a good history. So I am curious as to what they do with this, because it kind of looked like what was that? Alive? Was that the name of it?
Mm-hmm.
Where they started eating each other. It looks like that.
Well, that's a lot of movies.
Yes.
Not all of them appropriate for this podcast.
Wow. It looks like that, only less people eating. So. And more wolves attacking it. Did you see the part where he ties up his hands with, it looks like broken bottles or something?
Yeah.
That part looked pretty badass.
It almost looked like, what's his name from Kickboxer?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude, when he put his hands in those ropes him up and puts them in the broken glass.
Yes.
He's like, bring it, wolves. I got your ass.
I would
pay you later.
I would pay money to hear Liam Neeson say, "Come on, wolves, I got your ass."
Oh, I would too, bro.
Because he would do it badass. He would.
He would. Because he's awesome.
Come on, boss, I got your ass. That's the worst.
That was a horrible
Liam Neeson impression. But it was a great William Shatner. Moving on to actual movie news, we've got a few things we'll get to before we move on to the releases that are out. Some sequel news that came out. Carl Urban is going to return for Riddick 3.
Yes.
That part's cool.
Mm-hmm.
This one I'm kind of about. Thor 2 is very close to naming a director. They're talking to Patty Jenkins, who did Monster with Charlize Theron. I don't know how I feel about that. But they are exploring more of the 9 worlds, which if you've followed Thor, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're actually going to do it, but they say they're going to. What do you guys think of that one?
I think it's good because, I mean, in Iron Man and in all the other movies, we get all the Earthbound story. I would like to see them, because Thor is not of Earth, let's tell some not of Earth stories, and he's a perfect, character to do that through. So I hope they do that. It's kind of what I hope they do with whatever Green Lantern stuff they do next. Don't do Earth shit. Do the really cool stuff outside of it.
Yeah, what is it? She made he made Monster.
She made Monster.
She made Monster. I don't know. This scares me, kind of like Ang Lee doing Hulk. It's this somebody who's a good director and stuff in their own right, but maybe better at certain types of movies and not comic book action movies. But
well, that's just it. Did you guys see Monster?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was a great performance with Charlize Theron. I did not think it was a well-directed film. I didn't think anything about the direction screamed, wow, this lady has a future. It seemed very by the numbers to me. I thought Charlize is what made that movie, not really the direction. So that's kind of where my concern was. Whereas,
if your highlight movie is what, 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's a few years. I mean, my concern is not the same as it was with Kenneth Branagh, because Kenneth Branagh has proved that he can direct people and he can direct actors. My concern with him was like special effects and whatnot, which obviously Marvel has a team in place for that to have his back.
Right.
So I was just more concerned with the special effects, which I trusted they could handle. Hers, I don't see what they're seeing. I mean, do you guys remember something different from Monster? I didn't remember anything impressive.
No.
Well, but like you said, though, it's been 10 years. Who knows what she's learned, what she's bringing to the table, maybe she's been kind of watching and observing and learning from. So I'm pretty sure that the guys at Marvel have done such an amazing job of picking directors thus far. I can't imagine they would drop the ball now.
Yeah, I could see that.
She probably put some sizzle reel together that really just blew them away. So we'll see.
Moving on, Michelle Rodriguez is returning to Resident Evil 5, which is kind of funny since she fucking died.
Didn't she end up as a zombie in the first one or something?
Dead. So I guess she's still hanging around, maybe. I don't know. Just waiting in one of the rooms and they open the door. Fuck, there she is. Give her the cure.
Well, yeah, but they've created Mila Jovovich as, she's about 1,000 different characters now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But you know what I did see is there's no notice or no mention of what's his guy, the guy from Prison Break. There's no mention of him returning.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that Wentworth.
Yes, there you go. Wentworth Miller.
Yeah, Wentworth Miller. Yeah, I hadn't heard he was going to be back in it. I have to assume that. I mean, what the fuck is he doing right now?
He's waiting for the Prison Break movie. Come on, guys.
Well, he died. Spoiler alert.
Wow, I can't believe you just did that. But I'm going to leave it in.
Drop that bomb.
Damn it.
These movies, though, these Resident Evil movies, are a real guilty pleasure for me. And I hate the phrase guilty pleasure, but it applies.
They are horrible, but
they're not very good. But God, there's something about what Paul W.S. Anderson does. I like it. I'm not proud of it, but I like it. I'll be seeing, I'm sure, this new Three Musketeers movie he's doing, even though it looks completely ridiculous. Something about him. He gets me.
Yeah, I get that. The last one on this part, on sequels, is 1 and 2 is finally moving forward. Angelina Jolie, thankfully, said no, she won't return.
Well, she's dead, too.
Yeah, she's dead, too. But, of course, she was a big star in that movie. They were trying to bring her back. Like, her head just tied itself back on.
She did look good in it, though.
She did. She looks good in everything. I don't care if she's a mom of 12. She's a nice-looking woman. I would let her stay the night.
She's adopted 8 of them.
She's a little on the skinny side for me, but I'm not kicking it out of bed. I'll just say that.
I'd let her eat crackers. I'd let her bring in, I'd have to boil her first because I'm not convinced she's safe, but she's not going to be in it. But James McAvoy is apparently in talks to bring it back. He would come back.
Mm-hmm. He was
because
good in it too, so.
Outside of X-Men First Class, he's got nothing else going on either. A little tidbit. Now it's kind of movie related, mostly not.
This is for me, right?
Yeah, it is actually. Well, it's for you and Brian. Brian's a huge Shining fan.
Oh, that's true.
And I figured it would appeal to both of you. Little Danny Torrance from The Shining is all grown up and taking on psychic vampires in Stephen King's new Doctor Sleep. It's not really, it's book related, sure, but the film is so iconic. I thought it was important to mention that on this podcast because God knows they'll probably make a movie. What do you guys think of that, being Shining fans?
Bring it on.
Yeah, I completely agree.
it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it sounds so awesome.
What?
Well,
What
I
sounds?
have to assume that because he's tied damn near every book he's done into the Dark Tower mythology, that The Shining goes into that as well. And if that's the case, then vampires are a part of the Dark Tower mythology. It's nothing new to it. So I'm not surprised by this at all. And if you got psychic vampires dealing with a psychic guy, it makes perfect sense.
I just wish they could bring Scatman Crothers into it. That's all.
Isn't he dead?
Yeah, he's been dead for like 20.
He could be a psychic.
Years.
He could be a vampire. There you go.
Who was the chick that played his mom?
Oh,
that
Shelley
ugly-
Duvall.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The ugliest
woman.
the
ever.
ugliest woman in movies. It's like a toss up between her and Sandra Locke. Clint Eastwood's ex-wife.
Yeah. How would you like
I
to?
don't know why they hired her for that movie.
'Cause-
Because in the book it says that she is a beautiful blonde. How the fuck they decided to go? We could hire a really pretty blonde woman, or
This fucked up
we could
science
get this
experiment.
horse-toothed. I'm sorry, and I don't
Oh,
want to be
God.
shitty, but we could go this other route. Which should we go? And they went that other route.
That's not shitty. That's a fact. I mean, if you go look at any, picture of that, she's scarier than Jack Nicholson. And
But she was
really
perfect
is.
casting, though.
Yeah, she
as
did a great.
olive oil.
She did a great job. It's just you don't really buy her as hotness. But also, I would say
I
that
said
that
as
movie
olive oil.
is.
She looked that part.
She was born for that role.
You're so
Yes.
mean. But I would say, based on the movie versus the book, I don't think the movie was that true to the book to begin with. So
No. Did you guys watch the TV movie?
yes, the miniseries was a lot closer.
A lot closer. Not as good though.
I agree. I think the changes they made actually made the movie work a lot better.
Mhm.
But whatever. And this is a quick topic, and this is for Justin because I figured he'd like to be redeemed, and justified in
shit.
his purchase.
I don't need to be redeemed.
I just thought it would make you happy. People love blinking Ewoks because Star Wars' Blu Ray broke records. It's an $80 bundle if you haven't bought it yet, or $80 on Amazon. I don't know, what does it retail, like $150 or something?
I think it was 90,
90?
95, somewhere around there. When you consider that you're getting
Six movies.
7, 8, 9 discs,
Yeah.
Blu-ray discs. That's not bad.
No, it's not bad. Only a few of those are worth watching, my opinion. But it made $84 million. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that's the biggest catalog release of all time. Catalog is a movie that's been out for a while that they just re-release on Blu-ray. The thing's fucking huge.
Most of the people bought it just so they could go, ugh, I hated it. And now let me go online and spew all my hate on everybody, especially those who liked it.
I
They're
think
dumb.
if you're gonna spend $80, you damn well better fucking like it.
Well, there's
No
a lot of
kidding.
people who love hating so much that they will spend gobs of money just so they can have extra reason to bitch.
That's probably true.
Fuck
But
'em.
I will say I double checked on this because I was curious because you can buy them separate. You can buy the original trilogy or the new trilogy or the whole thing,
Mhm.
and most, I think it was 90 to some percent, bought the entire thing. So more people
Yes.
like the prequels than people want to admit. I'm not one of those
Closet
people,
fans.
but I love Star Wars. I love the original trilogy. I love the original trilogy. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people just accept the fact that they're there. The prequel parts.
Yeah,
You-
but
you know,
with,
you're
like,
su-
with the
you're
three
such a
different
big fan.
sets, with 3 different sets, you don't have to buy the shitty ones if that's how you view them. Obviously, a lot of people are just fine getting that newer trilogy with it. So I don't know. We'll see.
well,
My thing
congratulations,
is,
you
if
have
you're going to
one.
buy them, just buy them all. That's
Be a completionist.
He is. You can't.
Yep.
I'm like that too. That's why I'm afraid I can't buy the last 3 because I'll have to buy the first 3. So I'm just kind of going to stick with my DVDs for now.
Oh, I meant to tell you guys. Thursday, 13 fucking hours. Lord of the Rings. It was glorious.
How was that? Well, tell us on
Wonderful.
DVD when we get to DVDs. We'll bring it up.
Okay.
Quick plug, and this isn't. We don't want to have to go on this too long. I just thought this was pretty interesting. Ghostbusters is going to be released. Ghostbusters is going to be re-released in 500
In
theaters.
3D?
No, just regular old D.
I fuck it then.
Regular D. 500 theaters nationwide on October 13th, the 20th, and the 27th. So it's a digital release, so it'll be a little cleaner. If you guys want to see it, find your theater that's playing it and go fucking see it. I saw this last year at our local drive-in, and it was awesome to see it with a bunch of people that knew it and loved it. It was a lot of fun.
I'll have to do this. I love Ghostbusters. Who doesn't?
Nobody
Commies.
cool. Nobody
That's
cool.
That's
Communists.
Right. That's right. Commies. Bastards.
Now, this is the last part of news, and probably the most interesting out of all of it. In a letter issued to theaters this week, Sony said, fuck you, to all of the theaters in America, and said, starting May 1st, we're no longer going to pay for your disposable 3D glasses. Basically, if you want to carry our big tentpole 3D movie, you got to pay for that shit. So basically, that cost is put back onto the theater owners.
And if I was a theater owner, I'd say, fuck you, Sony,
That's
and not run their 3D movies.
It's kind of what I was thinking. Why don't, especially the big chains, I understand mom and pop, what are they going to do? But there's a lot of chains. There's a couple of chains that have at least 500 to 1,000 theaters. Why don't they just say, you know what? Yeah, I guess you're not going to play in my theater. I don't know what to tell you. We'll be fine. There's other movies coming out that week.
Yeah, but they were, but I read that it was something like, what is it, $5 to $10 million a year per studio?
It's per film. Per film.
Per film.
For P&A.
And that's nationwide. So that's in these days that's a lot of money.
That's
it's
worldwide.
Into your profits a little bit, but hey, it's technology you guys developed, so
Yeah,
fight me.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my thing too. You create these. This is the monster you created. Now deal with it.
So, what's your stance? You think the studio should eat it, or the theater should just accept it?
No, I think the studio should eat it. You're the one that you're the one that created this. So you've got to provide the rest of us with the means to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So it shouldn't be put on the studio to do that, or
the theater.
The theater. To do that.
Who would just charge us more?
Yeah, because
absolutely.
it's like an extra. They say it's like 50 cents per ticket is what it's costing. What is it? The theater.
Studio.
Or the theater will end up charging basically an extra $1.
Now, is there a recurring cost on this because people are taking them home or throwing them away?
Most people throw them away, or
They have
there's a
those-
recycling charge. They have to basically pay for that, and
Why don't they just throw them all in the dishwasher, clean them off, boom? Ready to
the
go.
dishwasher.
That's right.
I think they want to get to the point where people buy them and then they keep them, and then they just bring them back when they want to watch a 3D movie. There's something.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Hey, honey, did you remember your pair of 3D glasses? No, they're at home. Fuck. But I did bring my rechargeable ones that were $600 to watch my television. Can those work?
Just get a bunch of those alcohol wipes, and just wipe them all down. That'll give some pimply faced teenager some job through the summer.
I have found that you can rectify this problem if you go to the movie, a 3D movie. Don't buy the glasses and watch it drunk. If you do that, it pops out at you anyway. It doesn't cost you anything extra.
Got them beer goggles.
And you could just sit there like half passed out, throwing up, and be like, "I'll save $3." It works. So, Sony, thanks for once again fucking the little guy. We appreciate it. Keep that going. So we're gonna move on to what is coming out. It's gonna be out by the time you hear this, it'll already be in the theaters. The movies that are coming out this weekend. I went and saw Dolphin's Tale last week, real quick. I should probably review that, I guess, with my daughter. So I kind of want to explain what that's about. Have either one of you seen this? I don't think you have.
Nope.
Don't say that. Let me finish. Maybe I can sell you on the.
Oh, you better put some big cleavage on this.
Hang on. So what it's about?
You better be Alec Baldwin and Glenn Ross.
Yeah, close it. Let's
ABCs.
go.
ABC, motherfucker.
So Winter is a dolphin that loses its tail. It gets caught in a crab net. And there's this little bastard named Sawyer Nelson, played by Nathan Gamble. Which, by the way, Sawyer is the coolest name a kid can have. I'm just saying. Sawyer's dad, of course, left him. His mom is raising him. She's played by Ashley Judd, who Scott Clark somehow thinks is a gilf. And she's like 40 years old.
She's good looking.
She's good looking, but she's not like a gilf. She's still a MILF. She's got a little ways to go.
She's not Winona Judd or whatever.
Yes, she's not whatever the oldest fucking whore of that family is. I'm sorry. She's probably. I'm sure she's a very nice woman. She's probably never slept for.
Wow,
Okay.
for a whore, she's really nice. Jesus, Aaron.
So anyway,
Good Lord.
Sawyer runs into this handy-capable Winter while he's on his way to summer school, and he ends up calling the local marine experts. Dr. Clay Haskett is played by Harry Connick Jr. He takes both of them in. And then Morgan Freeman shows up. He's a doctor that designs prosthetics for war veterans. Like Sawyer.
When does Morgan Freeman not show up? I'm
Shut
sorry.
Up. He just pops in here and there.
Every movie.
Shawshank. Winter gets a fake flipper, and of course encourages the entire town and every crip from here to Handyville that being different is an inconvenience. It's not really a bad thing. This sounds like one of Justin's like cry fucker cry movies, and it kind of is. I can't lie. I was kind of moved. I was sold.
Well, probably because the way you talk about women, it sounds like your mama didn't hold you enough as a kid.
Whore. You whore Dolphin. What the movie is, it's kind of like trying to be a Free Willy-ish, I guess.
I never saw that either.
What's that?
I never saw that either.
You didn't see Free Willy?
No.
You thought it was a different kind of movie?
Why would I see Free Willy?
I don't know. Just the title screams, watch me.
The porn version, maybe.
You would have watched it and been like, fuck a whale? Really?
I don't care about whales. Well,
when did the
I don't care about it enough to watch a fucking movie about it. Unless it's some BBC documentary on Blu Ray, I don't need to see a whale movie.
Well, anyway, to be perfectly honest, it is a good family film. I really liked it. At the very end, when you see the real Winter out there and you see kind of the impact, it's fucking Dolphin. I didn't see a vagina or anything, but
you were looking, weren't you?
I was checking it out. Seeing the impact
Dolphin
that the
porn.
actual Winter had on disabled children and veterans and everything at the end. It's honestly probably one of the... You guys aren't going to let me fucking... Sincerely, it was a very moving movie. I really liked it.
It sounds nice, and I don't mean to...
It was very sweet, and I don't usually get suckered by these cheesy flicks, but it was really good. The 3D is completely unnecessary. Don't waste your fucking money. I think it's Disney, so fuck them. They don't need their $3. It doesn't.
This is Warner Brothers.
Is it Warner Brothers? Okay.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't. I guess I should have prepped too. It doesn't need to be seen in 3D because honestly, after the first 10 minutes of underwater sequences, nothing really pops. So
no blowhole in your face.
No, they actually do that one. I'm like, really? I'm gonna have like snot basically thrown at me. But if you got kids and you're looking for a nice little family flick and you want something that you can both get into, and you actually, I'm serious. I'm gonna go buy somebody a plastic arm or something because I was moved. I'd give it 8 out of $10.
Did your daughter look over at you at any point and go, "Man up"?
I did. I started getting teary-eyed. It was so sad. It was so sad. At the end, they actually show the real Winter actually is played by the actual Winter. Like the real Dolphin plays herself.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of cool.
So they didn't take a regular dolphin and just cut its fucking tail off?
I almost choked. Thanks.
It's a method actor.
Listen here, Shelley. We're gonna try something different. We need you to get into character.
We don't have the budget for CGI, so we're just gonna.
We're not gonna go Lieutenant Dan on this one, and CG out your tail.
I never want to review a movie with you guys again. Anybody that listens to that, I hope all you got out of it was the movie was good. It's a good family flick. If you like your kids and you don't, you want to make them love you, take them to the movie, and then they'll feel sorry for handicapped people. Maybe help do some charity or something.
Apparently, they were all too busy watching fucking Lion King.
Oh God. Nice segue. Lion King made almost $22 million. Again, second weekend. The fucking movie came out 15 years ago. Why?
But it's in 3D now, bro. It's all new.
Yes, I realize the lion is in your face, but
in your face, eat ya.
I don't understand what the appeal is. It's going to be on Blu Ray on Tuesday. This Tuesday, it'll be on Blu Ray. What is the rush?
The Lion King is awesome. I don't care what you bitches say.
There's no doubt that it's a fantastic movie, and I want to get down with Elton John on all my days.
Why do you want to go see Ghostbusters on the big screen again?
No, that's not
awesome.
Because it's fucking awesome.
Oh, okay, then. Next subject.
I don't expect it. I do
Well,
not.
You've got a lot of people who watched that as a kid who are now adults and have kids of their own.
That's true.
So they can take their kids and have their kids have that same experience.
When did you get a job at
Yes, they
fucking
did.
Disney? I don't understand. What, you're like pimping for him now?
The Lion King is
Disney
like
apologist.
the holy. It's like the Holy Trinity, part of the Holy Trinity of the best Disney movies.
What
in
are the other
probably
two?
50 years. The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast.
Give me your man card. Give me your man card. Just mail it to me.
Beauty and
Whatever,
the Beast,
whatever.
or,
Dolphin Tale.
The Little Mermaid is one of my favorite movies ever. I make no bones about it. I will sing those fucking songs. Kiss the girl. Oh god,
You just did that.
I did.
That just happened.
Under the Sea.
Under the
Oh,
sea,
wow.
where everything's better. Down where it's wetter, just wait and see.
I believe that part. Moving on, because this is. I think I just made a dirty comment about the Little Mermaid, and that's not a good thing.
Hey, don't say nothing about no Ariel.
No, I liked Ariel. I was when they showed the girl that they actually morphed or modeled her after. Oh yeah, I wanted to go under the sea. Moneyball came out, made $19.5 million. Dolphin Tale, $19 million. So they both did really well. Abduction, what? It was nobody wanted it. Nobody abducted it. Nobody. It made
Really, nobody wanted Killer Elite either.
nope. Killer Elite, 10.9 for Abduction. Killer Elite 9.5, and that's got fucking Robert De Niro, Clive Owen, Jason Statham, and that wasn't enough. People were like, nah.
I think we're in that weird period of movies where there's really nothing phenomenal to bring you to the theater. Everything's kind of meh. I mean, there's just like no motivation in me to hit a theater right now. I might take the wife to go see Killer Elite maybe tomorrow or Friday, but that's about it.
Let us know how it is.
If I see it, I'll tell you.
You'll be the only one in the theater, so
I'll bring you a full review of Clive Owen's mustache.
I appreciate it, and I will. You know what's funny is I mentioned that movie to my wife, and first thing she said was, "What is up with that mustache?" I don't.
It is
Like this
very
80s
distracting.
porn?
It is.
It is awful.
I think it probably killed the box office. That's the reason people didn't want to go. They got turned off by it.
Well, he
I'm
looks
not
like he
paying-
should be driving around a white panel van with no windows, just
Candy.
With bags of candy.
bags of candy looking for kids.
Yep. He just opens the door. Hey, I got Kit Kats, Cheetos.
You want to come to Uncle Touchy's puzzle basement?
Uncle Touchy's puzzle basement.
That's a Patton Oswalt act.
Wow. Opening this weekend, or it should be open already. 50/50's out. It's 87% positive. What's Your Number's out. 40% positive, which basically means negative. It's a romantic comedy, so I wouldn't put too much stock in it. Dreamhouse, no reviews at all. Courageous, no reviews at all. But I do want to add, before we go into the movies that are coming up next weekend, Courageous, which Brian called as, this is going to surprise everybody, it's going to do fantastic, and those
I
were
didn't say fantastic. I said better.
Better than expected. Better than expected because Jesus is on the wheel. It's the biggest pre-ticket sales so far of any movie coming out this present weekend. Can you believe that? So far, that's the one that they want to see.
Apparently, Jesus is also buying the movie tickets.
I know. Apparently, it's probably Mel Gibson, crazy bastard. Coming up next weekend, let's talk about those because we already talked about the movies that are coming out this weekend last week. So if you want to hear more about those movies, go download last week's show. You should have already been fucking listening to it. Real Steel.
Fuck yes.
October 7th, Real Steel. Hugh Jackman,
see this,
washed up
yes.
fighter, looks like a Rocky with robots. The robots have taken over. Humans aren't fighting anymore. He hooks up with his estranged son, and they build like this super robot to go boxing each other. Looks kind of stupid, but I've got a couple friends that saw an early screening, somehow got into an early one, and said it's actually really good, and Hugh Jackman brings it home.
I'm looking forward to it.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
Why that one?
Yeah, I mean, I like Hugh Jackman. It's sci-fi. It's robots fighting. What the fuck? How could you not want to go see this?
It's rock
And it's got
robots.
Kate from Lost.
Kate's in it?
Yeah, she plays his ex-wife.
I don't know why I thought that was Kate Beckinsale.
Fuck no.
Oh, that might kind of makes it a little more interesting. I'd like to see her do something.
No, she's too busy doing the Underworld movie.
I'd like to see her doing Real Steel.
What does that mean?
I don't know, and I'm afraid of what it might mean, so I didn't even want to ask.
That makes no
Because God
sense.
knows what shit Aaron's got in his head right now.
It makes sense. Think about
Sex
it.
robots. I don't want to hear it. No.
Real steel makes sense. Real steel. You know what steel is? I'm not going to say it out loud, but you know. Go find some and grab it. Something else that's coming out is Ides of March. I'm sorry. I was very uncomfortable. I want to apologize to everybody that's still listening. So I'm sorry. Ides of March is coming out. That's the Ryan Gosling movie, who I will firmly say cannot be in a movie that makes money. It's against the law at this point. He stars as a press secretary of an up-and-coming candidate. It's played by George Clooney. It's one of George Clooney's movies. Finds himself in the middle of political scandal and dilemma that could end both of their careers. I really want to see it. I don't know. You guys don't really like political thrillers?
Not really. I love George Clooney, but this one just kind of doesn't do anything for me.
I don't mind a political thriller. I love George Clooney, but I can't stand Ryan Gosling, so the tie always goes to the Clooney. So I'll go see it.
What?
Tie goes to the Clooney. You should make a shirt.
Why do you not like Mr. Gosling? I know you've said this before, but I really don't get it. What is it about him that you specifically don't like?
He's too pretty.
Yeah.
I think he's just one of those overrated actors. I think a lot of people, the people that go goo-goo over him are women, and I can understand that. He's a semi-handsome chap,
Chap?
Not as good looking as I am, but there's not many that are.
No, there's not.
So
not where you live.
But he's not drawn me into anything. The only thing that I thought he was good in was the Anthony Hopkins?
Oh, Fracture. Yeah.
Fracture, right. That was good, but that's the only thing that I've liked him in. Anything else I've seen him in, he's just not appealed to me. And he's almost been he's very forgettable. To me, he's just not a good actor.
Fair enough. The very next one is Intruders. That's the one that Brian was talking about earlier when he was way off. Clive Owen, without sans mustache, in parallel stories of two families disturbed by apparitions, and apparently it's a faceless stranger in Spain, and then it's like a demon, I think, in Britain.
How have I not heard of this?
How have you not heard of what?
I've never heard of this movie.
Because I think it's kind of a low-budget deal.
Huh.
It's one of them foreign deals.
Yeah, it's from the foreign
Oh, it ain't
land.
out of Hollywood? Fuck it then. Move on.
There is a lot of foreign actors in it, so I don't know if that means it's going to be French. But Clive Owen's in it, so they got to be speaking Americanese.
Yeah, part of it takes place
British.
in Spain, and the other part of it takes place in Britain, and I'm not sure how they tie together. But it looks, it showed me enough to where it's piqued my interest, and I want to check it out. I'm not real sure of what it looks spooky. It looks quote unquote scary, so I thought the trailer was good. I just, so I want to see more, but they did a good job of not showing you too much, kind of like Dreamhouse.
The last one that's coming out, and I really don't even want to mention it because the original is just disturbing, but you kind of have to. Human Centipede 2 full sequence is coming out, and that's a sequel to that fucking sick ass movie that came out like a year or two ago. Hey, did you guys see that?
No, I had no fucking interest in that spectacle of a movie.
God.
I did.
Yeah. What'd you think, Brian? What'd you think of the original?
It was a novelty. The first one was a novelty. It was
disturbing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah. It was. It's one of the,
for those people that aren't sick in the fucking head. Human Centipede is about a guy who basically kidnaps 3 people and ties them ass to mouth. Sews them ass to mouth, so that he can complete his own circle of life. And basically, I don't want to have to do the visual
into it or anything for anybody. Just jump right there and hit them square in the face with that statement there.
That's basically what it is. That's what it is.
Well, this movie I don't think really has any subtlety to it.
No, there's no subtlety. I think it's. I'm a big fan of horror. I mean, we're going to talk about horror specifically in a little bit, but I'm a huge fan of horror, and I'm a huge fan of gore and that sort of thing. If it's gore, if it's either entertaining gore or if it's gore for the sake of an entertainment value, like it pertains to the story somehow, they're just elevating it. This is gore for shock value. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of let's just show guts because it's going to make people sick. and that's really all this movie is. I mean, I'm fine with gore in like a Friday the 13th movie where they're just trying to be absolutely off the cuff ridiculous. But this is something that actually has happened somehow. I mean, there's actually stories of this happening, why do these people that do this don't get just shot in the head? Why you actually get a trial for something like that? Hey, we're going to
due process.
But the first one only grossed like $181,000.
Yeah, it didn't make any money.
It's I'm sure it made a little bit more on DVD or cable or whatever, but
because that's the movie you want in your collection when Mom comes over.
Yeah, exactly. So
what's this
I'm
one?
Browsing through your movies, and
I'm a big Discovery Channel fan.
That's ass to mouth, Ma.
Yeah, you don't want that one.
and then
ass to mouth.
and then unfortunately you get the scare when she goes, "Oh yes, I do." Oh fuck! Fuck! Now I know where I got it. That's my test movie. That's how I know if people are fucked up. And the worst part is it's one of those movies where most people I think it's not going to be as disgusting as it is, and it is. I mean,
it is.
Yeah, it really is, and it's not interesting at all. I've seen a lot of Japanese horror over the years, and they can be pretty fucking twisted. And I guarantee you, there's some guy named Hagashima somewhere that said, "Who the fuck made this movie?"
Oh, God. Okay. So we've alienated women and Japanese people so far.
I'm just saying.
All right.
Not women, just the Judd family.
Oh, just
yeah, it's not all women are horrors. God damn. I just said the oldest Judd. I like Ashley. Wow, I just tied the Judds into the Human Centipede. That's pretty sad.
You don't see that every day.
Gift.
I do have a gift. So if anybody is dying to see that, just wait. It'll be on Netflix soon enough because it's not worth paying for.
Don't.
Yeah, better yet, don't. Because honestly, I'm concerned with people that want to. I actually saw they had a trailer showing people's reactions because, of course, this is a reaction movie.
Just take Two Girls, One Cup and replay it over and over and over. You get the gist.
Well, in this one, it's called Full Sequence. And you know what they're going for? Not 3 people. Not 4 people. It's like 10 people. Someone asked.
Wouldn't you hate to be that ass, the last guy?
The last guy gets the worst processed one.
Or like number 9, because you're like the last guy who's taking it from both ends.
The
last guy is just one way, but the 9th guy, that's the worst one.
Now in Human Centipede 3, are they just going to be a ring? Just a big loop. One person gets fed through a tube, and then the rest just.
And they'll call it Full Circle.
Oh shit! Don't let them hear this.
Full Circle. You know who I wouldn't mind being would be the first guy because your job's not that hard.
Human Centipede 3.
You just get to
Balloon
eat.
Knot.
The Windsor Knot. Wow. Well,
all right, Real Steel. That's my pick. I got to move on. I'm starting to get sick.
Real Steel. Brian, what's your pick of the week?
I'm gonna go with The Intruders.
Really?
Yep.
Is it The Intruders or Intruders? Let's get this right.
Intruders. I'm sorry.
Intruders. God. That's your pick. Mine. I gotta tell you, it's gonna be.
Real Steel.
I mean, I like all of them except for Human Centipede. They all appeal to me, so it was.
I'm probably gonna go Ides of March.
We guys split 3 ways. All right.
Yeah, split 3 ways. I think Real Steel will probably be the box office.
I'm oldest, so my vote counts more, though. So.
Yes, that's how we do this. Listener, when you're trying to decide which one to see, make sure to count on whoever's oldest.
That's right.
I'll have somebody's grandma on this fucking thing, and they'll say Ides of March.
And you say ass to mouth when they're on?
Oh! Yeah, I probably would.
You would.
I have no shame. That is it for coming attractions. We're going to go to our little trivia section, which is called Stump the HO.
Stump the HO.
For anybody that's never listened to our podcast, we have a nice little trivia section where someone from our show gives a trivia question, and then the podcasters that are attending have to guess the answer. We don't know what the question is going to be. We can't Google it. We can't do anything. And then we're going to do a little trailer break, give everybody a couple minutes to collect their thoughts, come back, and then we'll see what the answer is. And we'll continue on with our show. This week, it's Justin's turn. So are you ready to try and stump us? And by the way, HO means Hollywood Outsider. It doesn't actually mean that we bring prostitutes in, contrary, or Judds. We don't bring any of the Judd family in either. So go ahead, Justin. It's yours.
All right. For my question this week, the Wachowskis were approached to direct a particular movie after The Matrix, but they turned it down to work on the Matrix sequels. What movie were they offered that they turned down? And I will give you a hint. This would have been the beginning of a whole new franchise for them had they chosen it.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Dun, 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 dun.
Need to have that as a little sound drop.
I'm going to say John Carter of Mars. Brian?
So was this actually made by somebody else, or
Yes.
did it just? Okay.
Yes, this film was made and came out in theaters.
Oh,
And my hint was more of a hint than you realize.
well then I kind of feel shitty because my movie, the one I guessed, hasn't come out yet.
That's kind of what I was wondering. Why did he pick that? But all right.
All right.
I'll say Lord of the Rings.
What? No way it's Lord of the Rings. No way. But I am obviously wrong. Brian, he is wrong. He just doesn't know it yet. And we will we will come back. We're going to play the trailer. It was originally going to be the Muppet movie, but then when I try to listen to it, it does not play well on radio because it's a lot of visual gags. So you're going to hear one for the money. Let us know what you think of this one. We'll be right back.
I got some not so great news. I got let go from Macy's lingerie department.
Those bastards. Who wouldn't enjoy a nice thong?
Come on.
And I got maybe 10 minutes left with the car. What I need to get is a
Job.
Husband.
You guys got anything full-time, part-time? How comfortable are you with the lowlife? So lingerie for 3 years in Newark.
You're good to go.
Joe Morelli skipped out on bail. 50 grand, dead or alive. I can do this.
She wants to be a badass recovery agent.
I might like his better.
Stephanie started a new job.
Yeah, she's got a gun.
Put the gun away, Mom.
She belongs in a home.
Clarence Sampson. He got kicked out of 2 retirement homes for flashing his...
Hello there.
Wow. Hookers. They always know something.
If you want information from Lula, you gotta bring her a snack.
A snack.
I'm hungry.
You're out of your league. Gotta stay sharp, Plum.
Stephanie Plum. Vinny sent you to bring me in.
You're going down, bro.
You know what?
You're sexy as hell.
Come on.
Good to see you, Cupcake.
I was just shooting a gun. How hot is that? I'm gonna hail Morelli. Not nail Morelli, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's worth 50 grand.
Didn't the two of you have a little...
It was high school, Grandma.
Are you nuts? This is my car. Damn it. Oh, my God. Is that guy naked? Fresh air is good for the boys.
Oh, come on.
I want my car and I want it now. How does a person eat like you eat and look like you look?
Hey, are you messing with my tasty cakes, huh?
No offense, but you can't bring me in without my cooperation.
Yeah? Can't wait to see what you got.
We got this good cop, bad cop thing going, except with hookers.
They blew up our car.
Excuse me, whose car?
Your car. You want it back?
You've been hit.
Thanks, Einstein.
Too bad. It's a pretty nice ass.
And that was one for the money. So if you're in the mood to see Katherine Heigl do what Katherine Heigl does, then check that out when it comes out in theaters. We are coming back to our segment, which is called From the Outside In. But before we get to that, Justin just tried to stump us hoes.
Tried? Shit, I stumped both of you.
Hey, I don't know if I'm wrong yet, so hang on a minute.
Spoiler
if
alert,
you have,
you're wrong.
if you have a suggestion, by the way, I meant to do this before the break. If you have a suggestion about some trivia that you'd like us to touch on, or anything else really, you can email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Keep that in mind. Feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Justin, why don't you repeat your question, then give us the answer?
All right. After the Matrix film was done, the Wachowskis were approached to direct another movie, but they turned it down so that they could do the Matrix sequels. What is that movie? My hint, which was full of hints, but nobody seemed to get it, is that had they picked up this film, it would have been the beginning of a whole new franchise for them. I'll give you one more try. You got it? Anything?
Casablanca.
What the fuck? Really? Casablanca?
Hey.
What about you, Aaron? What do you got?
Give me this hint again, this miracle hint.
God. This would have been the beginning of a whole new franchise for them.
I don't know. I
Because
guess
that's the line, well, not the franchise part, but the beginning of a whole new friendship at the end of Casablanca, and I know he loves that movie, so.
I do, but that's not what this line is about.
All right, you're a dick.
The film,
yeah,
Batman Begins.
Oh!
Oh!
Good call. They really got offered Batman?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they didn't get it. Or didn't do it.
I am too. I like Christopher Nolan's take on it, but I love the Matrix sequels too, so I'm doubly glad that they didn't take it.
By the way, real quick, they were on this past weekend on cable, and I actually started watching Matrix Reloaded again. I'm like, maybe I'll try them again. I'll give them another shot.
What did you think?
No, I didn't finish it. I'm saying I will now, because I started getting, I'm like, you know what? They're not nearly as bad as I remember. I think hype played a factor at the time. So yeah. I figure maybe I'll give them another shot and see if they've gotten better to me with time.
If you ever get a chance, in the Ultimate Edition DVD set or Blu Ray set for the Matrix films, there is a particular supplemental called, there's two of them. There's the Science of the Matrix, which is interesting, but didn't do as much for me as the Philosophy of the Matrix. Watching that and hearing all of these philosophers and theologians talk about all the different things that are in the three Matrix films, that are sometimes they're very blatant uses of philosophy and sometimes very subtle, but to watch them talk about all the different things from Eastern and Western philosophy, from all these different religions that were woven into the text and subtext of the Matrix, fucking blew me away and gave me an entirely new level of respect for what they put into it. Even though you don't have to know this stuff to enjoy it, if you do know it and kind of get how those things reflect in the movie, it's amazing. For me, I thought it was fantastic. And I love those movies to begin with, so it was even more love went to them.
Cool.
There you go.
Cool. Okay. Well, now we're going to go into From the Outside In. Now what that is that's our little segment where we just talk about shit. Stuff that we want to talk about. This week, since we're approaching Halloween so rapidly.
Like a bat out of hell?
Yeah, like a bat out of hell. A very slow method. Okay, it's not quite Halloween, but we want to get ahead of the curve because you might be listening to this a couple weeks from now, or it might be a while.
Next year's Halloween.
Exactly.
They've got Halloween shit in Walmart right now, so
exactly. So we're
it's
ahead
all
of the
good.
Curve. You know what? We're trendsetters. That's really what we're doing.
We're blazing trails. Yes.
We're gonna do a couple weeks where we talk about Halloween and horror movies or the movies that are Halloweeny. This week we're going to focus on a specific topic, which is supernatural horror. That's basically vampires, werewolves, ghosts, that kind of thing, and the movies that we love, as well as what we love about those particular things. Why do we keep watching that shit? So I guess to start the ball rolling, I mean, what are you guys' favorite movies? And like in Supernatural, not the show, but
which is awesome.
Which is awesome, according to Justin. Every week we hear. When it comes to supernatural films and things like your Evil Deads or your demon movies or vampires, werewolves, whatever it is, what is it about those things that makes you want to come back to it? To start off,
I wish I knew, because I'm not a religious person. I don't have a faith-based bone in my body. I'm, in most respects, very much an atheist, but there's something about the concept of demons and possession, of creatures that don't obey the natural laws that we all have to obey. Even though I have no belief in it, it still frightens me to a huge degree, especially for some strange reason. Demon movies and possession films, I constantly watch those films just dreading when those demons are going to show up or what they're going to do next. And I don't believe in it, yet it scares me to death. I wish I understood that better.
I'm kind of the same way, except I did grow up in the church. I did,
literally in a church?
Practically. I mean, half the week was spent there, but
that's a lot of church.
So yeah, I mean, so movies like The Exorcist and The Omen scared the hell out of me. No, actually, pun was not intended on that one. But as a kid, and I think it's because of that. It's that possibility that this could happen. And, so, I mean, whether you don't believe in demon possession or, God, devil, that kind of stuff, but there is that sort of pseudo realism that this could happen, more so than, you're not going to run into Frankenstein, when you go on some backcountry visit or something like that. But there is a certain amount of believability that this could happen, and that scares the hell out of me.
I would say, since I think right now we're kind of on the topic of ghosts and demons, they don't really do as much for me, I guess, because I grew up on horror movies. My mom was very big on horror movies. One of my first movies I saw at a theater was Friday the 13th. True story. And the very first movie I can remember seeing was Jaws. So my mom's fucked up at some point, and she wanted to make me fucked up too. But ghosts and demons just really never did anything for me. I mean, The Exorcist, I remember seeing that as a kid, and all I ever saw was kind of like an angry teenage bitch that keeps fucking herself with a cross, and I just thought maybe you need some counseling or a hug. Maybe Dad didn't hug you enough. I don't know. It just never came across as, well, this is scary as shit, because I guess maybe I never really bought into the whole demon mythology. But I think over the course of the last, how long ago was Exorcist? Like 73, something like that?
Yeah.
Over the course of the last 30 or 40 years, I think they've gotten into where it's so much of a rhythm with those films specifically that, and I think Mike actually mentioned it like a few weeks ago, but very, very much a specific rhythm that almost all of them follow, whereas the scares are the same. It's whispers or a cat jumping out of a cupboard, or you see a shadow in the background, that sort of thing. Very, very similar. I don't really see a whole lot of difference from movie to movie to movie, even though I really want to give them all the benefit of the doubt. So I think ghosts and demons don't work as well for me unless it's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They just don't do as much for me. I mean, there's a couple movies. The Ring. I like The Ring. The Grudge, I thought was really good.
Yep.
And granted, I'm sure the Japanese versions were better, but I saw the American ones.
We always have to say that, don't we?
Yeah, we do. That's what people expect.
Yeah, but I think this is why I've become such a fan of movies like Blair Witch or Paranormal Activity. These are films that they can't depend on the usual Hollywood horror tropes. They don't have that soundtrack that's telling you a scare is coming because the violins are getting a little faster or a little louder, or the drums are beating a little more. They don't have that music. They don't have so many of the things that, camera tricks that try to give you those jump scares. It's through the lens of these characters and their cameras. And because it doesn't have those things, these movies can't depend on those usual tropes. They have to work harder, and I think the scares they provide are even better. I mean, in full disclosure, when I was a kid, I was very much a believer in the supernatural. I mean, I spent I don't know how many hours as a child reading books on demonology and witchcraft and all these sorts of things. I was a huge believer in the Paranormal Activity and psychic ability. It was only over probably the last 10 years or so that my cynicism has reared up and kind of squashed my belief in all that. But I think there's a kernel of what they would call like that lizard brain kind of reaction, that very primordial reaction that I have to the idea of demons being possessed, being taken over. And that's why they just completely scare the hell out of me. And The Exorcist, you guys said that it didn't really work for you. I didn't see The Exorcist.
I said that. Brian likes it a lot.
Right. When I was 14, I saw it, and I saw it without my mother's permission. In fact, she expressly forbid me to ever bring that movie into her house. And of course, as a 14-year-old is going to do, fuck her. Let me go find the movie and bring it home. And I think it was like 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm watching this film, and not only am I horrified by what I'm seeing, but I'm constantly scared that it's going to wake my mother up and she's going to come down and it'll turn into this big mess. So there's these multiple layers of scare going on. But that film, even to this day, scares the shit out of me. It
still works almost 40 years later. It really does.
It is horrifying. And a lot of people haven't watched it. But Exorcist 3 is fantastic. It is an amazing follow-up to that film. Forget Exorcist 2. go for Exorcist 3. It is a wonderful horror film directed and written by William Peter Blatty, the guy who wrote the books.
Yep.
Straight from the source.
The old lady with the big chrome hedge clipper looking things.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that scene had me just screaming in the theater.
I actually liked that one more than I liked the original.
There was a lot of just visually striking, parts in that movie that it really surprised me how well that movie was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But we brought up vampires. Vampires have never really scared me much.
Well, before we go, I want to real quick. Back on the ghosts? Did you guys see a movie real quick before we go on to vampires? Did you see a movie called The Entity? Like years ago, it's Barbara Hershey, and it's like this ghost
based on an F. Paul Wilson book.
I think it's based on a true story, allegedly.
Mm.
But it's this lady, Barbara Hershey, who was kind of cute back in the day. And this ghost keeps taking over her house and basically violates her every night. And then she eventually starts to like it, and then it starts getting violent, and it's like the whole movie is just fucking twisted. But it's kind of like I only say it because I know it's on Netflix, and I just think anybody that's got a little twisted view of ghost films should probably check this out, because this will make you feel a little different about ghost films. I'm just saying. It's a lot different than the Evil Dead rape scene. This is a whole new other level.
No tree branches are involved?
No tree branches. This lady's just having a field day, and there's nobody in the room. It's awesome. It's weird. It's really weird. And I don't know why.
Let's not leave out Amityville Horror. When it comes to, and not the remake, the original film, that movie scared the shit out of me too as a kid.
You know what scares me? I was looking online for just ideas for this segment and stuff, and saw a couple of different sites had lists of the top 100 horror movies and whatnot. Amityville Horror was on 3 of these, which are, I think I looked at 5 different ones, 3 of them, and it was the newer version, which I totally disagree with. 3 of them
wasn't bad, but
it wasn't better than the original,
though. As the first.
No, and I actually like Amityville 2 quite a bit myself, but
I've never seen that one. But my grandparents, their house had a remarkable similarity in window kind of structure as the house on Amityville. And I always had the hardest time whenever I would go over there and spend the night and sleep in that living room with those windows in that same kind of shape. That always just freaked me out.
But those 3 movies, The Exorcist, Amityville Horror, and The Shining, were really 3 iconic horror movies from the 70s. And I think The Shining came out in 1980, if I'm not mistaken. So that would probably be the last one. But they really changed a lot of people and how they view certain, I guess, situations or look at certain events or
I'll never go through a fucking maze again in my life. I promise you that.
Exactly. I can guarantee you, I will not be babysitting a hotel over the course of a winter anytime soon.
Especially now that ugly chick. But we already covered that.
Well, that hotel is based on a real hotel. The book The Shining was based on a hotel that Stephen King actually spent some time in, and it inspired him, and you can feel it in the book. But supernatural horror of all the different horror types is by far my most preferred type of horror.
And vampires. What were you going to say?
Vampires don't scare me though, and I think the reason they don't is because usually they're played too human. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily find that scary. I mean, what they can do is scary, but the way they're presented on screen and the way they go about what they do, it doesn't really bring any frights to me. Not like a werewolf where they're these uncontrolled creatures that are just chaos in fur. That's scary. Or a ghost that can come and go as it wants, or demons that can hide. And what their motives, you have no idea. Vampires are very much humans to an extreme level. Yeah, and I don't find that scary.
Yeah, they're like romanticized so much that they've kind of been they're like pussified monsters.
The only vampire movie, and not even a film movie, it's a telemovie, that scared the shit out of me was Salem's Lot.
Yeah, Salem's Lot was freaky.
Yeah,
kid in the window and shit.
And that came on TV right after. It's either right after or right before Fantasy Island. And whatever show came on before Salem's Lot and after were forever tainted. I could never watch Fantasy Island again without remembering Salem's Lot.
Wow.
Because that film, I literally did not sleep for a couple of days. I was so terrified. especially the scene in the hospital
Mm-hmm.
with the little boy hearing his friend calling at him through the door, the glass wall door, and then the fog, and he's floating and scratching in the yellow eyes. Even talking about it right now, I want to go cry.
That was probably one of my most memorable experiences as a kid was watching that movie.
Oh God.
I don't know. I mean, vampires, they have like romanticized the shit out of them. I mean, granted, I'm not going to go into Twilight because you know, that's not a fucking vampire. But
well, it's no more a horror movie than Blade's a horror movie.
That's true. But I mean, the whole concept of vampire seems to be like live forever, party all night, don't die unless some shitty teenager comes over. I mean, they really don't. They're not scary, except for 30 Days of Night. They made a pretty decent,
yeah, that was
vicious
vampire flick. When they start beastifying them, so to speak, they do become scarier.
You know, Lost Boys was actually at the time fairly scary. It's more of an action movie, but it had some pretty scary elements
because of the Corys.
Yeah,
that was the scariest part. It did. At the time that came out, that was actually a pretty good horror movie. I mean, now it's kind of, hokey.
Right.
But, I mean, that was the 80s. And I'm a big fan. I mean, Fright Night, love Fright Night. Vamp. Did you guys ever see Vamp?
Oh, God. What was her name?
Dee Dee Pfeiffer was in it. The black...
Grace
Jones.
The model.
Grace Jones.
Grace Jones?
Yes.
Was that her?
Yeah, it was Grace Jones.
Right.
That was an interesting little 80s... It's definitely an 80s movie. I actually watched it not too long ago because I had fond memories of it. It does not hold up at all. I mean, I half expected Sonny Crockett to show up smoking a cigarette right in the middle of it.
Now, what about zombie films, though? Those are the zombies are, of course, the big horror du jour creatures right now. Do you guys find zombie movies particularly scary?
Scary?
Less and less scary. They're more action, to me, almost action movies.
Yeah.
At this point.
I will say that they got more scary once they introduced moving zombies, not like the lumbering kind. Because that always cracked me up. I was like, how the fuck can you not outrun them? Really? But,
well, the thing with zombies, though, and this is kind of the same thing with, kind of a Jason-y character. It's not that you can outrun them. It's the fact that they don't stop.
Right.
They're the Terminators of the horror world. They don't sleep. They don't shit. They don't rest. They constantly move, and they're greater numbers. And so you may outrun one, but that doesn't mean you're not going to run into another that you don't see. And that's kind of where their horror from. It's that inexorableness about them that can be frightening. And movies like 28 Days Later.
Can you wait while I pull up dictionary.com to look up that word?
Sure.
Wow. Take your time. We'll just wait here.
But that was that whole the schism between the fast zombies and the slow zombies. Which one's scarier? And a lot of people kind of hate that when the fast zombies kind of came in, that they kind of took, that became the new thing. I think it was with Dawn of the Dead. Wasn't that the first time?
Yeah, that was the first.
The remake that.
Well, I think Return of the Living Dead actually back in the 80s had faster zombies, if I remember right. But
oh yeah, but those were so campy.
Yeah, but that one was very campy. Brains, send more cops. That whole thing.
More brains.
Yeah.
I remember I liked the third one of those though, because that not only was that girl really hot, but I liked that whole notion of staving off the zombification by pain, and she did that by piercing, her flesh, and the pain of that putting off her becoming a zombie. I like that kind of idea.
Yeah, because they were trying to get creative with zombies. I'm fine with that. I really think that at this point, zombies have kind of been done to death. I mean, I don't know what kind of fresh spin they could put. Yeah, I totally just did that. That just happened.
You did there.
But seriously, I think they have been done to life. I don't fucking know. However you would say it without sounding cheesy. The concept of how the zombie movie has evolved has done. I think Walking Dead kind of topped it off. Like, where do you go from here? What's next? I mean, space zombies? What the fuck? I don't know what else there is to do.
Yeah, they could do space zombies. I mean, it all kind of depends on your definition. And this is another one of those things when it comes to zombies. It's, do you prefer the supernatural based zombie, or do you prefer like the biologically created zombie? 28 Days Later, that's a biological zombie that's created through scientific means or whatever, whereas Return of the Living Dead is more, well, no, that's kind of a scientific one too, because that was a toxic waste, or that chemical was what created them. But you get the Dawn of the Dead movies.
But Dawn of the Dead didn't really they didn't really say what caused it, did they?
Yeah.
No, but
Shit
I
just
think in
happens.
Return of the Living, or the first one, Night of the Living Dead, somebody brought up the whole notion of, hell being full. And so now all these people who died had nowhere to go, and so they became zombies.
Yeah. That's basically saying, I can't think of a good reason. So, hell's full. Sorry.
It still worked, though.
Yeah, it did. But I can't think of the last original. I can't think of really a new spin on the zombie legend that can happen. Like, I can see how you can twist vampires, werewolves. I mean, a lot of the other ones. Zombies one of the ones where I think there's really only so much you can do. It's pretty limited.
Yeah, the only kind of alterations that I've seen that are actually, they're more funny. And that's about the only way you can really change it up, it seems. And that's movies like Fido.
Or Shaun of the Dead.
Yes.
Kind of making
Shaun of the Dead, yeah, right.
Absolutely. We can't talk about Halloween Supernatural without Shaun of the Dead, that's for sure.
What is it? Zombie Diaries, and there's there's a handful of lower budget ones that that are just like, there's one about Confederate zombies, and I mean, it's got Robert Englund in it. It's absolutely horrible.
Just saying Robert Englund's in it usually means it's not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a book and a podcast of the book written by a guy named Jake Bible, and his story is about zombies, and it's the story goes that when the zombies started taking over, the humans that remained created these giant mechs as a means of fighting them off, and in the future, one of these mechs, the pilot becomes a zombie, and so suddenly you've got, not only do you have this zombie, but he's at the controls of this mech. And it's called Dead Mech. It's an interesting story, and if you're looking for something, a slightly different take on zombies, if you're in a reading kind of mood or a listening kind of mood, check out Jake Bible and Dead Mech. It's pretty cool.
It's not good. What about werewolves? I was thinking about this. Werewolves is one of those genres that I don't think they make too many movies, because they actually don't make that many. And I can think on one hand how many are really good. I mean, obviously American Werewolf in London.
That's so scary.
That's good. The Howling. I think The Howling probably scared the fuck out of me when I was a kid.
Yes.
The transformation.
Except for the little Pekingese looking one at the very end.
Yeah. but the transformation scene where she gets trapped in that room with him while he transforms.
Mm-hmm.
That was freaky. What's the Corey Haim movie? I loved it as a kid.
Silver Bullet.
Silver Bullet. Loved Silver Bullet.
That was
Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf? Yeah, we're going to let that one go.
I've heard the new TV show is actually not bad. I haven't seen it.
You can
refuse to watch it.
Yeah, you can let me know. I'm a really big fan of werewolves. I mean, I think the reason that they're a little more scary than, say, vampires, because vampires they're just really sad. They want to keep their hotness. They're pretty vain. They're just sad they can't look in a mirror anymore, whatever. Werewolves are really vicious. I mean, and they're generally innocent people, when the moon is full, end up eating a few people.
Yeah, because you almost feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what they did the night before over the, kind of like, on a Friday night when you go.
Exactly.
Go on a bender.
They're like, when you go on a bender. I mean,
now,
really.
Do you guys prefer the werewolves that look like wolves, or that look more like, or they're upright or on all fours?
Probably upright.
Yeah,
no,
I find those a bit scarier.
I guess it really depends on who does it. I mean, when they did The Howling, I think they did it right.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they actually looked, which is funny because it was like 25, 30 years ago, and the makeup was better than it is now, because the CGI werewolf shit looks like crap. But I really like when they're upright, or when they make it more of a man mixed with a werewolf, as opposed to going all outright costume.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems to work a little better. And there's a really low budget one not too long ago called Bad Moon, I think it was called.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever see that one?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
I actually, that movie wasn't too bad. I thought it was kind of interesting for a low budget horror movie. And there's really not a whole lot that hasn't been done with that genre either. But I still love it. I still think it's great. I don't like the Jack Nicholson movie.
I actually never saw that.
Wolf.
And I didn't see the Wolf Man that came out a year or two ago with
Benicio del Toro.
Benicio del Toro. I didn't see it either.
It's entertaining but forgettable.
Very, yeah.
It's got a couple of neat little special effects, but it's
And you can tell, wouldn't you agree, Brian, that you can tell it seems like halfway through that movie, they forgot what kind of movie they were doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like, what were we doing again? Well, let's just finish it, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't.
But I'll tell you one that I like. It's an action movie and it's not really scary, although there's probably a couple of scenes that'll make you jump a little bit. But that was Van Helsing.
I love that movie, and everybody looks at me like I'm a nutso for saying that.
They should.
I was physically exhausted after like 2 hours of just nonstop, action. That movie that movie rocks, and I don't understand why everybody hates it. But
I don't either. I really wish they'd have gotten to do another one because they were actually planning on doing a spin-off television show if it had been a success.
I think that would have been a mistake, but I could see a sequel to it.
I really liked Hugh Jackman in it. I thought he nailed it. I mean, he is a hero. He's good.
I thought Kate Beckinsale looked fantastic. I thought her accent,
dude, she looks fantastic.
Just
good. Sitting in any movie you can think of, she looks fantastic.
That's true.
It's not like the woman has a bad day. You know what I mean? It's not like she shows up on set and they're like, whoa, honey, go home. You're just not going to cut it today. That just doesn't happen. It's not like she shows up and they go, Shelley Duvall, is that you? It never happens.
But I enjoyed it. It was over the top. It was campy, yes, but I still really enjoyed it for all of those things. It was just very operatic and fun, and I think people went into it. Maybe they wanted something else, expected something else. But Brian, you and I'll have to get together one day and watch the movie and just enjoy it together because we're about the only two I think who do.
That sounds good.
I'll have to watch it again. I didn't hate it. I just thought at the time I was like, really? I just wanted more, I guess. Another werewolf movie I thought was really good was Dog Soldiers. That's kind of a cult. I don't know if it's a classic at this point, but it's a cult movie.
I just watched that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that was like pulling teeth.
Well, I mean, it's old now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's about 10 years old, but...
And it looks like it was made on a budget that you and I could probably scrap together. Honestly. And I mean, part of it, it's like a military guys get caught up in this werewolf thing. And the guns sound like pop guns at this point, because the movie's 10 years ago and it's very low budget.
Yeah, you've got a guy off camera going, bang, bang, bang.
Exactly. No, it's a machine gun. Oh, shit. Bang, 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 bang.
Right, somebody's flashing a flashlight for the muzzle flash.
Wow. Somebody's in the back doing Bride's grrr. And obviously Evil Dead. That's a big, going back to demons real quick. That's one of my favorite demon franchises, I guess. Which everybody that's a geek likes that.
I think the first one's better than the second one.
I would agree.
As far as horror goes.
The first one is honestly probably one of the very few movies that scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't hold up now. You watch it now, it's like, really? This is what freaked you out? But at the time, there was nothing like it, and I pissed myself. I had nightmares.
I mean, that woman sitting in that doorway with the white eyes and that creepy fucking smile she had just singing.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I'm getting chills up my back just remembering it.
Yep. You know what's sad is I honestly think most of the best horror movies, especially of these genres, were made in the 80s and 90s. Like, I don't think there's been, because they've been so pussified, I guess is the word, in the last decade with Twilight and all the other shit that's been coming out.
Well, they ruin stuff with too much music, too much production. Yeah, I mean, horror works best when it goes when it goes straight for your gut. And too many of these movies are trying to get either too cerebral or just too produced. Yeah, but one movie we haven't mentioned, though, is Alien. That movie, it's sci-fi, but that's a fucking horror film.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
I think it does, even though it's not a supernatural one, I think it's going to have to fit in this category better than any of the others because there's not too many sci-fi horror films, but that one works.
Next week we're going to talk about psychological horror, which I assume would be more of the ones that fuck with your mind because that's what psychological mean.
We didn't even bring up Nightmare on Elm Street, did we?
Yeah, where does that fit in? Would that really be a slasher movie? Yeah, I guess it would because he's kind of a.
I mean, it's slasher-y. But the basis of that movie. Friday the 13th has a supernatural kind of thing going too.
Well, I would say both of those are slasher movies.
All right, we'll save those then.
Just if for no other reason, you had Jason versus Freddy versus Jason. So that kind of groups them in the same category. I would call them slasher movies.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We'll bring those up. Next week, we're going to talk about psychological horror, so be sure to turn back next week for that. Now we're going to move on to any parting thoughts on those? Vampires, werewolves, demons, ghosts, anything? Any last-minute recommendations on those?
First Hellraiser.
Oh, man, that was so scary.
That was a freaky-ass movie.
Jesus wept.
Unfortunately, everything in that movie, couples do now. So, really.
Now it's kind of tame.
Yeah, now it's kind of tame. Yeah. Now we did that on Friday.
Now the Cenobites are like watching Two Girls, One Cup going, oh, go! Oh!
Ask the cup.
We got to find new jobs because these people are sick.
We're going to move on to The Couch, which is where we talk about DVD, Blu Ray, things like that have come out. The newest releases for October 4th are going to be Fast 5 is coming out. Very excited. Pumped. Scream 4. Still very pumped. I love the Scream franchise. And African Cats. Don't really give a shit about that one. Any of those three that you guys are dying to get, to buy, to purchase?
I don't think I've seen a Scream movie since the first one.
Really?
I'm not. Well, we'll talk more about these sorts of movies when we get to slasher flicks. But Fast 5, bitch, all the way.
Fast 5 all the way. I could care less about the Scream franchise. It's well past its prime. It can just that hopefully that's the last one. So African Cats, whatever. I'll watch National Geographic. So
I will say, for anybody that hasn't seen Scream 4 or is debating it does nicely wrap up the series. Makes up for, I wouldn't say it's abysmal, but makes up for kind of a mediocre part 3. So I think as long as they stop it, I'm good with it. If they make another one, I'll probably be pissed off. But pick of the week, Fast 5. If I have to own one, it's going to be that one. That's honestly a movie that everybody should check out, even if you don't like the Fast and Furious series. Because I think
this is more of a heist film than a racing film.
Yeah,
it stands alone by itself. If you've never seen any of the others, you can watch this one and still be just as entertained as anybody else.
Exactly. Now we come to, at this point, I do want to mention that there's a couple movies that are coming out on Blu Ray this month that you guys might want to look for when they come out. Lion King and Jurassic Park, a couple epic classic flicks that are coming out on Blu Ray, and I think if ever there's some Blu Rays you want to get, one of these two would probably be one of them. Even though I like Lion King, I don't love it like Brian does, but both of them I think are definitely worth owning.
Maybe if the lion had a fake fucking foot and had to overcome that adversity.
Exactly. See, well, apparently he didn't need one to be number one. So
he's a king, bitch.
How would you like? Brad Pitt got beat by a 15-year-old movie, 15-year-old fucking animated movie, hand drawn, not even digital. Jurassic
Park, though, the second movie kind of sucked, but the first one and the third one I think is underrated. I like the third one a bit.
I like the third one a lot. I think it's a really quick action flick, and it really just dives in and doesn't stop until the movie's over. I really like that, and I thought The Lost World was really good until they left the island.
Yeah, as soon as it became, mini Godzilla,
yep,
kind of lost a lot of potency.
That was their biggest mistake, my opinion.
Well, and it didn't follow the book at all, in no way, shape, or form. If they would have followed the book, it would have been fucking awesome. But for whatever reason, they decided to go their own way, and I will never understand that.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, it seemed to work for them, though.
Yeah,
I guess
they did okay.
Not in my opinion.
We're going to move on to flashbacks. Now, what that is every week we try to give you a movie that is either obscure or you've never heard of, something along those lines. Maybe it's unpopular. Just kind of so you have something to check out when you leave our show. You actually leave with something to watch or an idea of something to watch. Now, we're each going to give you one, and from this point, or starting next week, we're just going to do one, and then we'll do another date movie. So it'll be 2 flashbacks every week, hopefully to try and keep the show running a little smoother. But this is the last week we're each going to do one, okay? Before each of us do it, Mr. Scott Clark, who is also a co-host, and he's been pursuing his education. Apparently he wants to be a teacher and get...
Overrated.
Yeah, teaching is overrated. Unless you're teaching like college girls, I don't understand why you'd want to do it. But he sent a flashback that he would like me to read. Thankfully it's short, so I'll read it. If it was really long, I wouldn't bore the fuck out of it, you people with it. But his flashback this week is Event Horizon. Did you guys ever see that one?
Oh, yeah.
So good. And a Paul W. S. Anderson film.
Yes, it's surprisingly a Paul W. Anderson film. Here's what Scott Clark. Oh, by the way, he did want to say one piece of feedback. Your show definitely needs more Scott Clark. That guy is super rad. Seriously. I just want to tell you, Scott Clark, anybody that says they're super rad is not. Event Horizon. What starts out to appear to be a simple alien clone becomes more dark and crazy than any first-time viewer could ever expected, or at least I didn't. I is referring to Scott, by the way. While far from a perfect movie, it falls into the sci-fi monster movie perfect with me. Apparently he was probably drunk again, and he was fucking writing this. I personally watched this movie after I had seen Jurassic Park and The Matrix, 2 movies that I was obsessed with. Justin. So seeing 2 actors from each other those films. He's drunk in class.
Oh, great. And he's going to be teaching people. That's fucking scary.
Oz be teaching y'all. So seeing 2 actors from each, what he means to say, of those films in a movie together was a dream come true for me. Event Horizon definitely falls into the guilty pleasure column for me. I wouldn't put it in a top 100 all-time movie list by any means, but it was a lot of fun for me with an unexpected ending that came from nowhere that I am looking forward to viewing again this year. So that's Scott Clark. If you can find Event Horizon, feel free to check that out. It actually is a good movie. I've seen it. And since I just had to do that whole fucking thing, we're going to do... Who wants to go first, Justin or Brian?
Go ahead, Justin.
All right. Well, originally I was going to do fucking Dog Soldiers, but some motherfucker had to go ahead and mention it in the previous little segment. I was hoping like hell that it would not get mentioned.
Seriously, still do it? I didn't really talk much about it.
No, you already talked about it. So
Jesus
fuck it,
Christ.
it's off.
Well, every one of my ideas has been touched on too, so roll with whatever you want to roll with.
Well, my backup pick it's a movie that came out not that long ago, just came out last year. But it's not a movie that I ever hear talked about. And I don't know why, because I thought it was not as good as films in its particular subgenre of horror, but still really good. And it's called The Last Exorcism. Like I said, it came out last year, and it's very much in the style of Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity, where it's this kind of a faux documentary about a preacher by the name of Cotton Marcus, who's played by Patrick Fabian, who I recognize mostly from TV shows. I think the biggest role I remembered him from was Veronica Mars. He played one of her professors who I think they thought he killed someone at some point. But anyway, it follows Cotton Marcus, who is this Southern preacher who is well known for doing exorcisms. And what you don't know in the very beginning, but really early on, you learn he doesn't believe in exorcisms. He's been doing them for years, but doesn't believe that he's ever actually exorcised anyone. He thinks it's purely a psychological issue, and all that he does is provide them the placebo they need to move on. But he gets a request to perform an exorcism for a young girl in a very small town. And he decides that he wants to put this little documentary together to prove that demon possession isn't real, that exorcisms are fake, and this is going to be his last one before he quits to move on with his life. Well, shit don't go the way he thinks it's going to go, and stuff gets really dark pretty quick. I loved the camera work. I loved how for a long time you don't really know, is she possessed? Is this just a psychological issue? Because it plays it pretty close to both until you get to the end, and shit just starts going crazy. It's really I think a well done film. I think the Paranormal Activity movies do it better. I think Blair Witch probably did it a little better, but I think only because I recognized some of the people in this movie. And when it comes to these faux documentary type films, the less you recognize your cast, the better. Because if I don't recognize you, I believe you are who you say you are. Whereas I knew who this guy was. So I didn't have that kind of added fear to it. But it was really entertaining, well done. Unfortunately, it's not in instant streaming, but it is available through Netflix as a DVD. So I think everybody should go and check it out. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But stick around for that ending. It is a doozy.
I really want to see that one, actually. That's what I missed when it came to the theaters.
Boom. Drop the mic.
Dog Soldiers, by the way, great movie. Even though Brian didn't like it, we don't.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and it's a unique premise. I mean, it's soldiers fighting werewolves. How often do you get that shit?
Yes, and what was the concept? Soldiers are dropped into a field. Basically, they're being plucked off by werewolves, and they becomes a who's a werewolf, who's not, and da 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 da. That was a great choice too. So I'm sorry I ruined it, but
that's okay. If I'd have emailed you and told you, I'm sure if I had done what I was supposed to do, that wouldn't have happened.
That's all right. That's okay. Now they have more than a couple recommendations, and they have, if they really want bad grammar, they can also do Event Horizon. Brian, what is yours?
Mine is we've actually touched on a little bit. Is 28 Days Later. I love zombie movies, and this is really one of the ones that Dawn of the Dead really kind of did this too, but it kind of really picked up the fast moving zombies, which gave it a little bit more kind of urgency, a little bit more of a creepy factor. But it was what really stuck with me about this movie is, the guy wakes up in a hospital, finds out everybody's gone, and he wanders around London, and this is the first time that they've shut down a major metropolitan area like London or New York or anything like that, and it really added to the creep factor. And just streets and just blocks and blocks of this city is shut down, and there's no CGI as far as that goes. I mean, it's all, they actually had people say, all right, stay inside, don't come out. and it was just totally amazing. And, of course he meets up with some people, they try to get to a safe zone and blah, blah, blah. That's, the basic gist of the story. But the first time that, you're seeing these people that have, it's the virus, the rage virus. And to see them running after the heroes of the story was, really kind of just added to that scariness of it. And I think it's underrated because a lot of people say it gets kind of, it does get kind of boring, and it does get a little slow towards probably the last third of the movie, but there's a lot of surprises, where the movie looks like you're going one way and then all of a sudden the zombie comes from a different direction or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's to me, it's Danny Boyle, who's done quite a bit of movies, including what was the
Slumdog Millionaire.
Slumdog Millionaire that he won the Oscar for. And I don't know, I just love this movie. I think it's one of the most underrated zombie movies or horror movies. And if give it a chance, check it out.
That is a great movie.
It's got Doctor Who in it.
Which Doctor Who? There's a lot of Doctor Who's.
Christopher Eccleston.
Oh, is he the original or something?
Oh, that's right. He's one of.
Oh, he's the current.
In the first season.
Gotcha.
No, he was in the first season before David Tennant did it.
Gotcha.
That's right. He's one of the military guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
God, all right.
Well, as you can.
What did you think of the sequel, though?
28
weeks.
I
like
later?
It because I like Robert Carlyle, but again, it wasn't the original. It just kind of. It had maybe it was a little bit more depth to the story, but with his family, his wife and stuff.
That he had Jeremy Renner in it.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? I don't.
That's right.
You know what I didn't like about that sequel? It does the one thing I really find irritating in horror sequels, which they tend to do a lot, is introduce the military, because they seem to think that, well, if we have a lot of guns and shit, this is going to be a lot cooler, and 9 times out of 10, it's not. But when you're talking about a situation where entire cities are overrun with zombies, at some point the fucking National Guard or the British equivalent, they're going to show up. I agree with that. I'm just saying, it seems whenever they do that, and they usually do it in a sequel to a movie that didn't have military the first time, it just seems to take away from the movie. Because the reason you like 28 Days Later is because it was almost like a character horror movie. You know what I mean? It's a lot smaller. It's one-on-one. It's very people-oriented. Whenever you get the military in it, there's always the military politics. There's always the bad colonel. There's always
right.
We're
just going to nuke the hell out of the city, and
yes,
you better get out if you can.
Just nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Brian, though, you did remind me of another thing, why I like zombie films and find them scary. It's not just the inexorableness of them, but it's the fact that the best thing that can happen to you if they catch you is that you die. The worst thing is that you become one. Yeah. And you can become one through a scratch or a bite. That's what's so scary. At least a vampire's got to really latch on and purposefully change you. You know, with a zombie, you could just get scratched by them in most films.
Yeah,
or
like
a slight bite.
Yeah,
or
like
their
Brendan,
blood gets on you. Sorry.
Right, right. Brendan Gleeson in the movie looks up and he sees that crow that's got like a eyeball or something that he's chewing on, and some blood drops in his face, and he turns.
And they're the ultimate disease carrier.
Yeah.
Which is why I want to see Contagion.
Which is a good movie, so that's too bad. As you can tell, our flashbacks are horror focused or Halloween focused, whatever, something scary-ish. Well, to go into my flashback, I'm a huge 80s fan. Love 80s horror movies. Friday the 13th is probably one of my favorite series of all time. I love the monster movies of the 80s, which in the 80s there was
Monster Squad.
I love the Monster Squad. The 80s had a shitload of these fucking killer shit from outer space that come, body snatcher type movies and whatnot. Well, my flashback is a movie that's only a couple years old, but it's really a throwback to all those kind of movies, and it's called Slither.
Yes. Nathan Fillion, I love you.
Nathan Fillion, who I obviously worship. He stars in the movie as Bill Party. He's the sheriff of the local town. Well, this alien, whatever, drops into town. Michael Rooker's in there, he plays crazy fucker, because he plays crazy fucker in every movie he's ever been in. He basically gets infected with a slug, and these slugs start taking over town, and they start infecting all the local townspeople, and Bill Party, or Nathan Fillion, has no idea what to do. So basically it's trying to find out, how do they stop it? How do they get this under control? There's a lot of clever both homages to old horror movies of the past, as well as a lot of creative scenes of their own. James Gunn's the guy that wrote it and directed it, and he also did Dawn of the Dead, the Dawn of the Dead remake.
Cool.
He wrote the Dawn of the Dead. He didn't direct it. He just wrote it, which I thought was a great concept. This is an even better concept in my opinion, just because I like how they sold it. It's very funny without being campy. It's clever without being stupid. There's horror and humor, so and they do a really good mesh of the two. There is a lot of gore to it. There's a lot of, and it's all ridiculous type gore. It's not, oh my god, they just, it's not ass to mouth, which apparently that's what we should call this fucking episode. But it's
I dare you.
No,
dare you.
I won't do that. But it's very, very much. Now I'm going to think about it. It's very much the gore that's over the top, the 80s gore, where it was just, your neck's pulsing and it gets bigger and your head explodes and stupid shit like that. And it's funny. Parts of it are fucking hilarious, and parts of it are actually kind of, I wouldn't say scary, but creepy. So it's just a nice little throwback to old horror movies, and seeing Nathan Fillion play the lead in anything is good for me, because the guy's got a lot of charisma that unfortunately goes wasted because they won't give him a certain franchise. But the movie itself is very good, and I also highly recommend getting it on DVD if you can, because the feature commentary with James Gunn and Nathan Fillion is fucking hilarious.
Oh, is it? Shit, I have to get that.
I'm sure you can get the DVD for like $6. Probably cheaper to buy it than it is rent it.
Fuck it, I'll get it on Blu Ray. It's one of those movies that I keep around.
It didn't do very well in the theater. I think it made like under $10 million, but it's really a good movie. Critically, it was very well reviewed. So it's not a flop by any means. It's just not a lot of people saw it. So
didn't it come out around the same time as that movie Feast?
Yes, it did. It came out.
I saw Feast rather recently. Man, that was good.
I think it came out really close to Serenity. It might have been either the same year or the year after. So 2006, I think it was. But very good movie. Brian, did you see Slither?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you should check it out. It's not on Instant Stream, but it is available on DVD, and you can find it pretty much anywhere else. It's a great movie.
It's one of those that I remember the preview about it and wanted to see it, just never got around to it, and then never really got around to it after that.
It's highly recommend it.
I will check it out.
Well, with that, any closing thoughts with you guys? Anything going on? You doing anything big this weekend? Going to see any movies?
I did. We did not. We forgot to bring up my marathon of Lord of the Rings. I'll just quickly say my love for Peter Jackson continues unabated. They look fucking phenomenal.
You watch these on Blu Ray, right?
Do what?
You watch the extended editions on Blu-ray?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
The extended editions of the Lord of the Rings are just really, you know, and it's so wonderful that he was able to film all three films back to back to back. Because when you watch them that way, it feels like one 13-hour or 12-hour, depending on how many breaks you take, one long movie. It has no seams in it, really. No characters are suddenly looking a couple of years older than than they did in the previous film. It
all
flows.
of a sudden somebody's hair is like 6 inches longer.
Exactly. It's perfectly done. I love the films. On Blu-ray, they don't look as stunning as Star Wars did, especially the prequels. And I think that's because it's a darker, grittier type of movie, and so they didn't give it that extreme CG polish. But it still looks magnificent. I did run into one problem, though. I got to disc 1 of Return of the King. Watched 2 movies, no problems. I put in that disc, about a minute in, it started skipping and skipping and skipping. So I popped out the disc, and it has this white little cloud on the disc. And I tried to clean it, nothing would clean it. So I thought, well, fuck, I sat here and watched 2 films, and now I'm going to get stumbled by the first disc of this one not playing. And I'm like, well, I could try and of course, they don't sell the extended editions of the Blu-rays individually. Whereas I would have been, if they did, I might have been tempted to go to the store and buy it, just swap out the discs and be done with it. Luckily, when you buy the Blu-rays, they also come with digital copies of every film. And I had the digital copy on my computer, and because I've got an Apple TV box on my television, I was able to stream it from my computer to the TV, watch that first disc through that digital copy, and then picked up with the second disc on Blu-ray. Saved my ass. Saved me a whole lot of trouble and expense. It's a phenomenal experience, and if you've got the ass, tenacity to sit there that long,
the ass tenacity.
It's a lot of sitting and it's a lot of movie watching, but I again cried it when Boromir got shot. I again cried at the end, especially when the hobbits go to bow. And Aragorn says, "You bow to no one."
And I told you I told you this on Facebook when I watch the trilogy, and I watch Return of the King specifically. That is the scene. You bow to no one. That is exactly where I stop the movie every time.
Yeah, because it's so good. But even at the end, if you keep watching it, and you see Frodo and how he is going to go on to the Grey Havens as well and leaves his friends and Sam, it still gets me a bit misty-eyed, but. I don't think there was a badly cast person. I think the entire series was just phenomenal. And I'm really glad that when Return of the King hit, that they finally gave Peter Jackson the Academy Awards that he deserved, because I will go to my grave feeling that Fellowship of the Ring got fucking robbed by a beautiful goddamn mind. Fuck that film. I think every year he should have just been given an award and a blowjob.
Wow.
Okay. Peter Jackson rocked that movie.
Okay, on that.
There you go.
There's your segue. Which we've got The Hobbit to look forward to next year. So,
yes.
And then I don't know if because that'll be broken into 2 parts. I don't know if they're doing the sequel right after that, or if it'll be 2 years or whatever. But The Hobbit's next year. Get ready. I'm sure Justin will be doing another marathon right before it comes out.
I'm getting in line tomorrow.
Brian, you got any parting thoughts?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, that sounds about right.
I took up all the wind. I apologize.
No, that's just Brian. Don't worry about it. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Brian and Justin for being here. Tyler might be joining us next week. Scott still has school, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
I know. Scott who? Scott what?
What?
And real quick, he did give us a nice review on Moneyball. He says it's a very good movie. I'm not reading it because it's very long, and you could tell by the event horizon, reading someone else's email does not make for good radio. Unless you send us an email at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. That's feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. One thing we do want to introduce is that if you have a flashback or you got a movie that you're a fan of that nobody seems to like, send us an email about it. We'll talk about it on the show. Try to get the word of whatever that movie is, even if it's a shitty movie, because it probably is. Whatever that movie is, send it to us. We'll talk about it on the air and hopefully get the word out that your movie, maybe it's worth salvaging. Also, if you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, or you just want to curse us out, whatever, send us an email. feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. You can find us on the web at The Hollywood Outsider, thehollywoodoutsider.com, and Facebook /The Hollywood Outsider, Twitter H_outsider. So I want to thank everybody for being here, and I hope this worked out good. Next week is psychological horror. You guys ready for that yet?
I am Mr. Frodo.
Okay.
Yes.
Really, you're going to talk Lord of the Rings for the next couple weeks, aren't you?
Maybe.
Wow. All right. Gandalf the Great is.
You shall not pass.
Sorry, my wife is going out of town again in October, so I've already got my Matrix trilogy setting up, ready to go.
You know how to party like a rock star.
I do, like a fat geek.
Okay, guys.
That's how I roll, literally.
Well, hope you liked the show. Thanks for listening, and buy popcorn.
Decision for me letting you go. No time to visit, I just wanna go home. You're unable to understand that I'm doing the best I can, and all I know is all I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home. I'd rather be
Sound, I think, is fine. I'll do it. Testing. I'm good. Brian?
I'm better.
Justin?
And I am the bestest.
Did you say bestest?
Skimming over some news, and it says that Georgia City gets nearly $4,000 from sagging pants ban.
From what?
You know how...
No, I don't know what you're saying at all.
Okay, let me see. Urbanites.
Okay.
Black guys wear their pants.
Oh, urban.
Past their ass.
Did you say urban nights?
Their underwear is full plain view. It's not like you're seeing the waistband or something like that. It's their full ass is out of these pants.
I just don't want this bleeding over into thongs.
And you get fined for it?
Yeah, apparently so.
You get fined for showing your ass? Oh, that's not positive, because that's going to work against me. I mean, against what I'm looking for when I go out.
You're looking for young black asses?
If you go to...
So is it just the three of us tonight?
Yes. Tyler had to... Well, I think he went furniture shopping with his mom.
Hey, I did that before. Fuck you.
You went furniture shopping with your mom?
Well, I was the one buying the furniture. I needed somebody to go, yeah, that looks good. That will look good in your place. Aw,
that's sweet. That's cool. My mom said, here's a spool. Enjoy.
I'm a giver.
That's what I heard.
Not ass to mouth giver, but...
Oh, isn't that fucking wrong? What do they say? What? A burp is a turd?
No, a fart is nothing but a turd honking for right of way.
What the fuck is wrong with Texas?
For me letting you go. No time to visit, I just wanna go home. You're never to understand that I'm doing the best I can, and all I know is all I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home. just gotta clear my mind.